Hey everybody, what can you freaking say, dude? It's the Binding of Isaac. Get out of here, Gyazo replays. Get out of here. Get out of here. I don't wanna, no, don't play sound on capture. Don't start image capture with the, get out of here. You're gone. I don't know, you updated yesterday and I don't support it. We can't win more than 2 runs in a row in Isaac right now. They won't give us. Sorry, I dropped my my ergonomic wrist pad. Ooh, ow, my tendinitis. They won't give us the tools we need. LW12HNQW. But it's a test of mental fortitude. You know? I mean this sincerely, even though I'm using my joking voice. You lose one streak, you hop on the horse. Oh, that was fun. Yo, hey, you know, a real test of a man is whether or not he can get up after he gets knocked down. You lose 2 streaks, 75% of the world's population throws their computer into the freaking dishwasher. Turns it on. 10-hour cycle. We're not gonna be that 75%. We're gonna get there. We're gonna give Isaac the chance to redeem itself. I am not infallible. I have made mistakes on my Isaac runs recently, but I feel like my standard of play has been relatively okay, and the quality of run that we've had is... Sorry, let me find the set. See? It's right about there. That's about the quality of our recent runs. So, you know, Isaac, you're in a vulnerable situation right now. I really think it would be wise, you know, this is not a threat, it's just like, come on, we work together. Can you just hook me up with some, like, a half-decent quality runs, dude? Already? Isaac said yes. It said yes, guys. We're ready. Got some spirit hearts, got some bombs. Do need to see our item room. I don't ask for much in Isaac. I'm gonna hit you with 2 things. One of them is cheating because it's kind of like a compound thing, but I want damage and I want health. If we get those, then I have so few complaints. I'm not even saying Isaac is too hard, by the way, because I think that that's... I kind of look at it through like a Mario Maker context. There's good hard and there's bad hard. Now, you know what I'm gonna say. You can just... If you want to be dismissive about it, just go ahead and be dismissive about it, but it's the darn truth. Austin levels are, you know, 10 people out of every 1,000. I wonder if there's a better compound fraction we could use there. You know, like 0.16% of people beat his level 2.7, right? But I felt compelled to keep going for a couple of reasons. One, admittedly, is that he's a friend of mine. And I know he works hard on making the levels. You're really not going to give me a single coin. Alright. But another one is that they're well designed and they do feel... Sometimes I do think they feel unfair. But if it makes sense, they're unfair in a fair way. It's not like the hammer of God just comes down on you. It's like, you're dead. You know what kills you and you know how to go from there. The timings are very tight. But, it's not undoable. And then there's like... you know, difficult but unsatisfying. And that's, you know, hey, there's 75 pipes, 74 of them lead to a pit with lava in it, and one of them leads to the goal. Difficult? I mean, depending on your definition, I suppose. Frustrating? Oh, absolutely. And where I'm kind of getting, I wouldn't say, disillusioned is a good word, is that on a lot of Isaac runs, recently at least, I've been like, there's been, like, unsatisfying ways to die. There is one exception. Hey. Not really that good, actually, but that's okay. And I think I don't know, now we have the ability to teleport, which is not bad. We might as well at least, give that a shot. Please tell me this gets a 1, at least. If it didn't get both, that's fine, but I just wanted to make sure we had at least 1. Probably should have used Wheel of Fortune there, but, on the one run where we had, like, very low HP but extremely high damage, I was a very, very happy man. Unfortunately, I think that, with Fruitcake, I think we can actually make this work. Even though I know we lose the ability to teleport on demand. Anyway, the rest of the runs have just been like me doing the thumbs down emote right now, basically. Just no damage, and then you kind of get starved, and eventually you hit that turning point where things clearly are not going to work, and then you're just waiting for the end. Honestly, like, I don't know what you do from a balance perspective. I might just be in a bad run, and I'm like, we gotta change the system, when really it's just, you know, bad luck. But for me personally, I'm like, man, just pair every tier effect that is not that good with a stat upgrade. That's my thing right now. Like, Fruitcake is a little different, because Fruitcake gives us awesome stats that are awesome tier effects that I'm like, you know, very happy to have most of the time, except for Firemind when it explodes in my face. But you know, we had like Skipping Stone on the last run, and you know, when I picked it up, I was like, it's a cool tier effect, but I basically just picked up an animation, you know? Why not toss me, like, why not put a speed upgrade in there? Why not put an HP upgrade in there? Why not put, you know, some kind of... That's my, I don't want to say concern, because I think that's a little overwrought, but... like, there's so many items in the game that no longer provide... They're kind of in that awkward spot where they don't provide anything, on a stat perspective, obviously, but then also literally provide nothing except for like a palette swap to your tiers. So, you know, you take the Skipping Stone and you're like, oh, my tiers look cool, but it basically just costs you an item room for a palette swap version of your tiers. That's my 2 cents right now, but you know, anyway, it's an unbecoming look to spend 10 minutes complaining about the game you've played for 3,000 hours. Let's move along with our lives, and you know that's why we're back on the horse, is to get it sorted out. It's a Monday today. It is one of those long weekends in Canada, well, in British Columbia at least, that I didn't know was a long weekend until I heard my neighbors being really loud last night. And then I was like, why are you so loud? You got work in the morning. And then I went, maybe they don't have work in the... oh, apparently today is, it's BC Day. British Columbia Day. So if you're watching this and you live in BC, I hope you had a spectacular BC Day. You know, is it a real holiday? Yeah. I mean, why are you being snobby about holidays, you know? More days off work, the merrier. I mean, there's probably a situation where you'd be like, this is too many days off. But I don't think in North America we're really there, you know? People, they're working 5/7 of the year, give or take. So I think they, you know, 1 day off every 6 weeks is pretty reasonable. Anyway, that's like, it's the only anecdote I got, to be honest with you. I'm excited for another week. Dude, this has felt like an endless summer, and I'm having a great time. But I gotta, you know, July is like, this summer's never gonna end. Now that we're in August, I'm definitely feeling a little bit of like, hey, you know, I'm not really an outdoorsy guy. I don't really like to hike. I don't really like to... I don't engage in water sports. But like of either kind, the words got stuck in my throat. Of either kind, yeah, let's just get the heck out of town here. But, you know, I like to be outside without wearing a jacket. Those days pretty soon coming to an end, because it's August right now. August is like usually uniformly pretty hot, but then after August you got September. Once you get to September, well, I mean, it depends. If you live in Australia, you're probably very confused right now. Well, probably not. I'm sure that you've learned that, you know, those of us in the northern hemisphere, you know, you say things are backwards down here, but we think everything's backwards up there. Classic. Anyway, where was I going with this? Oh, September is like, you know, you got some great days, and then you got some days where you're like, ooh, fall's coming. And then October is really where you start to You know, there was one October like 3 years ago in Vancouver where it rained like 27 days out of the whole month. Now, it could be worse. You know, it could be a December where it snows all the time, like in the rest of the country. I'm just saying. But by the way, I'm embracing my role as the YouTuber who talks about the weather. I'll take the speed upgrade. I got no problem discussing the weather. I think the weather's it's a great topic for conversation. People always, it's not that big of a deal. People always look down, or sometimes look down on people who talk about the weather in conversation. Oh, it's so boring. What are you supposed to do? You roll up to a park bench. Hey, Granny, what are your thoughts on the workers seizing the means of production? You know? You gotta... I mean, obviously all conversations are gonna lead to that at some point, but you gotta start with something a little bit more, you know, inert, if you know what I mean. You gotta start with something more relatable. Then, once you get them there, you hook them. Mobilize them. Start trying to sell them Herbalife products. Full health. You get the idea. It's called salesmanship. How to win friends and influence people, sweetheart. I froze. Oh, he's a little tiny boy. By the way, this run, so far, so good. Very few complaints. Good stats. Good, you know, I feel like we got some momentum. We're moving forwards. And a little bit of weirdness, because we, you know, our first deal with the devil gave us a lump of coal, so we're, you know, firmly in deal with the angel status, as you saw from our red chest back there. Feels good, dude. Feels so good, we're even taking our pills against our better judgment. Actually, the correct answer, by the way, is that you should not just use, like, I mean, our generation, I think you should just not talk to a stranger in public. Just to make idle conversation is like... You know, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I grew up in a small town. This is my favorite John Cougar Mellencamp song. This is about living in a small town while owning a New York City penthouse. I was born in a small town. Bought my gas in a small town. Anyway, I don't know. Like, you know, let me see where John Cougar Mellencamp lives. Where does John Mellencamp live? A lakefront mansion outside of Bloomington, Indiana. I mean, that's not... I would not say that he's sold out his small town roots then. I'm not saying Bloomington is, you know, like a little village in the middle of nowhere, but it's not like he's living in downtown Los Angeles or anything, so fair enough. But I grew up in a small town. You pass somebody on the street, you say hi. If you're sitting next to somebody on like a park bench or something, it's almost like it's rude not to acknowledge them. But I definitely feel, for me, like that social norm has changed a lot. Like, I just don't feel like... I don't want to talk to strangers in public. And I feel weird having to justify it. I think it's... You know, the boomer propaganda has gotten to me. It's boomer, oh, these days. People are always... all the kids are on their cell phone. They don't want to hear me talk about how my kids never call. Well, I'm sorry, but, you know... On my cell phone right now, I'm reading the New York Times opinion piece written by, you know, one of the minds at the forefront of, you know, environmental science. Do you have something a little bit more engaging you'd like to speak about? Why is it my responsibility to entertain you just because you feel like the phone is somehow like the devil? I don't get it. Doesn't make sense to me. Nobody on their phones, just people living in the moment. Now, you can definitely, I mean... we've all probably been in situations where somebody's been on their phone a little too much. It is frustrating. You're trying to have a conversation with somebody, you're trying to connect, and they're constantly talking basically to some... It's like kind of like a slap in the face, you know? Thank God we didn't have to use a bomb there. I'll open it. I have confidence. That was well worth it. You know, but there's a big difference there. And I think that's where, in my opinion at least, people tend to get a little conflated and confused. If you're out for dinner with, like, a friend, and they're on their phone instead of talking to you, that's a little insulting. If you're, out, you know, on your own in public, and then, you know, you're maybe talking to your friends on WhatsApp. That's the thing people use, right? WhatsApp. Instead of talking to a stranger about, man, you know, hot enough for you, then that's well within your purview, I think, to be reasonable. I guess we'll take the dead dove. Oh, sorry, Mildred. I was having a conversation via text with my wife. What do you have, you got any cogent observations for me right now? Anyway, I've invented this old lady in my head who I hate now. And I'm, like, having a very strange argument with her publicly in front of, like, 25,000 people. And it's, I mean, it's kind of like a bad look, I suppose. Alright, we've already been to the shop. Let's head down to the next floor. This run is just chef's kiss. It's beautiful. That's the one, you know, if you're... I feel the need to reaffirm this. I'm not a boomer. I'm just 30 years old. If anything, I'm kind of like, I'm like a mid-millennial, I guess, because, you know, I don't know when the generation gaps are. Here's my, I'm not like a demographer. I don't perform the census. But who do I consider, like, in my generation? Why did I use a key, dude? That's a good question, you know? If I had to think about, like, what defines my generation in terms of, like, signposts. I think if you were, like, you know, in your teenage or young adult years, when the 2008 recession and economic crisis happened, you know, if you're old enough to remember, you know, like, the day you had in school on September 11th, 2001... These are kind of, you know, if you like pina coladas and getting caught in the rain. These are the things that define my generation, I think. That's the way I look at it, at least. We don't really need any of this. I'm going to continue on that point. I just need to focus on strategy for like a microsecond here. Pokego is just not good enough. Look, I like the game. Don't get me wrong. The battery is just for future-proofing. But we don't need it in Isaac. I think that's a little too much. I mean, I think it is probably fair. Like, you could come up with a year for, like, when this stuff happened. But I helps anchor it for me to use, like, events, if that makes sense. If your first memories are of the O.J. Simpson trial being on TV, then we're peers as far as I'm concerned. I don't know, you know, I'm not here to define the boomer generation. Or the zoomer generation, for that matter. I don't know what your signposts would be. That's for you to decide. When Endgame came out in theaters, perhaps. That's not an insult, that's solidarity. Dude, this is like a perfectly paced run right now. So I get accused of being a boomer, and it's insulting to me to some extent. Because I don't own 2 houses yet. God willing, perhaps one day I can get to that point and then start to, you know, blame all of my rich people problems on other people inexplicably, but we're not there yet. Working on it. But don't hit me with that criticism yet. I get called a boomer by Zoomers. And I'm like, no, you got it all wrong. I'm a millennial. Don't age me before my time. That's my job. I don't know where I'm going with this bit. There was something in there. There was a little nugget we could have taken for a ride here, but it's unnecessary, I suppose. Yo. I do want the money. Okay, what do we need? This is the first time I feel like in almost, well, like a few videos at least, that I say the question, what do we need? And I actually, like, nothing urgent pops into mind. There are obviously things that I would like to have. But even then, like, It's kind of like an all-around sort of situation. Like, I don't need HP. I don't need damage. I definitely don't need, like, speed. I guess, you know, the most glaring concern right now would be if I could get a Tears upgrade. That'd be really nice. Okay, but, like, not like that. I'm sorry. We're not doing... I need to take care of me, okay? And part of taking care of me is gonna be not shooting 100 fruitcake tears out of my eyes every 4 seconds that are gonna erupt into Fire Mind, and then in 10 minutes I'll be like, how did we lose? I don't want to do that, okay? It's unnecessary. We got plenty of time. Figured we might as well donate. We haven't been paying much attention to the meta of our donation machine at all, but I thought, yeah, you know, extra deal with the angel chance, who cares? But, like, extra luck, perhaps, or at the very least, just making the bank a little bit bigger here. Now let's play Big Bank, Take Little Bank. That's Ice Cube. One of the very few lyrics in the song No Vaseline you can actually quote. Of course, my favorite quote is, I'll never have dinner with the president. I'll never have dinner with the president. I'll never have dinner with the president. And if I see your butt again, I'll be hesitant. Just the ultimate mundane diss, in my opinion. It's like, you sold out. You sold out. You sold out. And the next time I see you, I'm gonna have a diminished opinion of you as a result. I think it's extremely good. A lot of the other lyrics in that song, you can go look them up for yourself. They're a little bit less mundane than that. He does threaten to murder people, like a few times. Like, definitely more than once. So, Crown of Light is beautiful. We definitely do not need the body, obviously. And, dude, this run is dynamite. I'm having a great time. But yeah, you know, I'm in this situation where summer, you know, is coming to an end. I always like to think about what people's favorite seasons are. Because I gotta tell you, I've become a summer guy. But it's also heavily influenced by where I live. For sure. Summer's very nice here, usually pretty mild, unless the whole province is on fire. Thankfully, it did rain a few times this summer, so it's not, you know, it's been very good. When I was a kid, I used to say fall was my favorite season, but I'm gonna be like 100% honest with you. I think the reason I said that fall was my favorite season is because I just thought it would be like, I thought that was like the Ravenclaw choice. Now, I don't read, or I've never read Harry Potter, I should say, except the first book when it came out. However, I'm familiar with the houses because people won't shut up about them. As I understand it, Ravenclaw is like the, we're better than you, and we know it, sort of house, right? They're the intellectuals, the, well, actually, the Neil deGrasse Tyson house of pancakes. And that's, I think that's really, that probably would have resonated with me when I was like, you know, in middle school in particular. I'm not like other guys, I'm a smart guy. So I think I thought, you know, autumn was kind of like, it's moody, it's a little chilly, it's a season of change, you know, blah, 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 blah. But really, when I'm looking back, I'm like, dude, autumn in my hometown is relatively nice, but spring is like, is an ultimate chef's kiss moment. We will, I think we're just going to use it, and I'm so stoked we did. I think we will also take a Thame, and then we'll take Blue Candle. I don't think we need Dark Bomb, but I think it would work. I think any combination would work there, basically. I will say, if you live in a part of Canada that gets a real winter, and your favorite season is winter, I want to put you through a polygraph test. I really do want to put you through a lie detector. And I'm not being insincere. I don't doubt that your favorite season is, you know, when it averages minus 10 degrees Celsius and you have to scrape off your car every morning, you have to shovel your driveway, people are dying on the 401 en masse because they don't get snow tires, you know, I don't doubt it. But if you are so confident Why are you so hesitant to hook yourself up to this polygraph? I like pictures of the wintertime. I've been watching this show. It's an AMC show, but it's also on Netflix. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's pretty cerebral. It's called The Walking Dead. No, it's called... everything else was true, though. And it's not on Netflix. Sorry, it's on Amazon Prime. But it's called The Terror. It's like set in... kind of the tail end of, I don't know what the historical epoch is, but I guess it's like the tail end of the Age of Discovery, when, you know, this is the age for, you know, the half millennium where people were sailing around the world and, you know, basically mapping out the entire world. But the Terror is about this naval expedition to find a northwest passage through the Arctic Ocean. And the cinematography in it is beautiful, like these desolate environments where it's just like this Martian terrain with like one man-made landmark made out of, you know, old gravel or something like that. It's beautifully shot, and I'm like, man, it almost made me like romanticize winter a little bit. And then I remembered the show's called The Terror, and people are freezing to death, and they're walking, you know, 50 miles just to get a sight of like how the directions of the pack ice are changing and blah blah blah. And I'm like, man, if anything, it should make you like unromanticize winter. I deal with it. I don't deal with it. It's not like an incredible problem or anything, but you hear it now and then, because I used to go to PAX East before, you know, fool me 5 times, won't get fooled again. I hear they have moved it to April now, though, so, like, it's maybe not as bad, but Boston in March many, many times was just... I mean, people lived there, and I lived in a place that had a very similar climate. But, like, to travel willingly to that climate for your vacation was like, what are you doing? Anyway. Boston in the spring, summer, I got no idea. It might be absolutely gorgeous. But in the wintertime, you gotta admit, it's cold. Don't tell me it's not cold, because I know you're the same people in chat that are going, oh, -5 in Vancouver. Well, it's minus, I'm dead in Massachusetts right now. Anyway, I'm getting a little upset. Let's rope it back in. But, you know, when you go to PAX East, you meet the East Coast media, and they're like, I don't know if I could live in a place without winter. Hey, take it from somebody who's moved from a place with a very bad winter, at least by global standards, a pretty bad winter by Canadian standards, to a place that has basically no snow in the wintertime at all. Maybe 1 or 2 snows, and it rains a little bit. Is easy. There has never been and I don't know why I made that sound, but to be honest, people are different, and I accept that. But simultaneously, I'm like, there has never been a morning in Vancouver where I've woken up and looked outside and been like, oh man. And then Kate's like, what is it? And I'm like, oh, my mood has really dipped based on the fact that I look outside and I see people walking without wearing 45 layers of clothing, having a decent time, and still able to get out and about in their environment. Man, I would love to see this entire city blanketed with 2 feet of white powder that makes it impossible to do anything but looks nice in postcards. It's literally... Now, it rains, and some people are allergic to water, I guess, based on the way that they talk about the rain. And they're, you know... I get you know, if you, like, have seasonal affective disorder, for sure, I also get it. But, some people are, like, really, they're, like, in love with snow for reasons that I don't understand. If you live in a city where you can take public transit, I'll recant my opinion a little bit. But if you have to shovel your driveway 3 times a week and get up at 6 a.m. Just to scrape off your windshield so you can see out the front and drive to work, possibly do the same after you leave work, get home, find your driveway's been covered in snow, park on the street, shovel it out just so you can park and get inside of your house, like that. And then they're like, I can't live without a winter. I'm like, you like this? Are you insane? It's beautiful here. It's 5 degrees Celsius and a light drizzle. We're going out for sushi. I am not going to Delirium. But dude, that was a fun run and a nice palate cleanser for now. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. If you did, click the like button. Helps out a great deal. Of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. For now, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. See ya!